Dear Diary, my memory resets every 24 hours. I was looking at the log at bewilderment. It was my writing. There were hundreds of pages in the diary, and on each page I wrote that I forget everything in 24 hours. I don't forget anything. I mean, yesterday it was my boss's birthday. I remember taking a cake for him. A day before that, my wife had a meltdown over a neighborhood kid bullying my 2-year-old. I remember my dad. He was a war veteran and passed away recently. My mom lived nearby. There was not a single day of my life that I can't recall, all except for writing the diary. I tried to discuss this with my wife, but I always backed out of it. My wife is not one to typically listen to reason and logic. She'll make anything up and then blame it on me. We've been married for 10 years, and only the children are really keeping us together. I hardly see my children these days, too. My wife is a different story. She is everywhere I go. The time I get up in the morning to the time I go to bed at night, she follows me around with her nagging. She always wants me to do one thing or another. It really gets on my nerves, but I try not to argue, as I can never win an argument with the woman. She knows how to convince me, and often I'll end up admitting my faults. I finally showed the diary to my boss, though. It was the only option that I felt I had. I was going crazy to find the log in my handwriting every morning. My boss checked through all the pages, all the while looking at my face. I knew he was checking me out. Maybe he was hoping for me to smile and thought maybe it was a prank. But I was not having a good time with this diary, and he understood, eventually, that I was not joking. My boss didn't do anything, though. I mean, I was expecting him to tell me, "Oh, everything's fine," or throw the diary away, but he was no good at helping me out. He suggested the worst, and he told me to discuss this with my wife, the one thing I did not want to do. And of all the people he would choose, he picked my wife. Why would he do that? As if she doesn't have enough issues with me. Here's another reason to lecture me about something. I don't even look at the diary anymore. But some days I will pick it up and I can see even more log entries telling me that I don't remember anything. I often tried to throw the diary away, but I don't know, every morning I still find that journal and my writing and the crazy log. After so many days, I finally decided, yeah, all right, I would discuss this with my wife. I was expecting her to throw a tantrum at my stupidity, but to my surprise, she hardly reacted at all. She told me to eat my food, and then she just tossed the diary to the side. I was baffled by this lack of concern, so I actually shouted at her. She was making things up. She told me I wasn't her husband, and then she got some other guys into the room, and they held me down and forced me to eat. I was in a state of shock, not knowing what was happening to me. She said I didn't have any children as well. I tried to escape, but they all held me down real tight. I told my wife I would leave her and somebody was going to find out about all of this. When I was shouting for help out of nowhere, my boss came into the room. I was baffled to see him. I cried to him to help me out. He had the damn diary in his hand. He asked me why I stopped writing, and it's not a good sign for me to stop remembering that I forget everything. They both told me that I was crazy, that I'm in a mental ward, and I have been for over 10 years. They call me a sick patient who doesn't remember much. My boss was my doctor, my wife was my nurse. Crazy, right? I shouted as much as I could until I collapsed. It was a beautiful day when I woke up. I was having the lovely feeling that the day was going to be a good one. But I found a diary in my hand. I read the journal and, well, it didn't make sense. I mean, it was in my writing, but I didn't recall what I wrote. Kill your wife and your boss. I don't remember this, but I have a feeling I should do what the diary says. To watch more animated story videos like this, hit that subscribe button and tell us in the comments section what you thought about this story.